Okay. Latifa, mute yourself. Okay, let me just mute everybody. Okay. Hello. I'm sure you guys can hear me all right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good morning, Dante.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Let me start recording.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, today we will talk about on-site assessments. So last week we actually talked about due diligence. So basically in due diligence, there's a lot of stuff happening in there, whereby we do assessment, send out questionnaire to the vendor, and vendor actually complete the questionnaire. Depending on the company you're working with, they either be completing a SIG questionnaire or a customized questionnaire that was customized by your company. So we also have KY3P questionnaire, but I like you to speak presently, just speak on either SIG questionnaire that you guys are actually using SIG questionnaire wherever you're working. And there are certain documents to review. We spoke about SOC reports, SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3 reports. But basically, it's either SOC 1 or SOC 2 reports. And there's going to be SOC 1 type 2, SOC 2 type 2. Don't ever accept anything type 1 because it is insufficient. It is not comprehensive enough. Basically, there are some organizations whereby if their vendor inherent risk rating is critical, some organization, let me put it this way, some organization whereby their risk model, let's say for example, their risk model or methodology or metrics is.
Hello, John. Sorry to disturb you.
Who is this, please? Who is this?
Sharafa. Some people still want to be lighting.
Okay. Oh, I don't know why I set up this thing like this. I think that was my mistake. Okay, please just remind me stop me if you see a lot of people, not just one. Let me know. Okay. Okay. Some organization whereby they have their metrics, their risk metrics is critical, high, moderate, low, right? So what they do is basically if they have critical, their vendors, few of their vendors are critical vendors, that's their inherent risk rating. They do what is called on-site assessment for them. Despite the fact that they've done virtual assessment. Virtual assessment is the one I just explained to you that okay, you set up a meeting or either you send an email to the vendor. Probably you're sending a video, you're sending questionnaire by email, setting up a meeting. Those are virtual assessments. After doing the virtual, you also do on-site assessments. for critical, I'm talking about critical vendors. After doing the virtual assessments, you do the on-site assessment. How do you run the on-site assessment? Please take notes today with my state law today. So on-site assessment. The on-site assessments, how that is being done is after you're done with the virtual, sending out questionnaire to the vendor, you've done the virtual aspect whereby sending the questionnaire, they complete the questionnaire, you review, you look at the open findings, you send the open findings you noted, you collate everything, and you send it to them. Okay, I think I didn't talk about that last week. So let me just go into details into that. Let's assume okay, so once you review all this, you put in your comments here, right? You review what is sent back to you, you put in your comments. What you do is all the no's, anything you say fails, anyone that fails, right? You collate all the fails. Let's assume this one failed. This one failed. Let's assume we're assuming. Let's say this 2 fails. You collate both of them. This 2. Those one that fails are called open findings. They are called open findings. If you're doing an interview, just tell them open findings or gaps. But in some cases, they call it exemption. All right. So, but I would like you to call it during interview, just say open findings, or you say gap. Definitely the interviewer understand what you're saying. So I like to use a generic word in TPRM because of your interview. I don't like speaking on based on where I've actually worked with. If I want to use certain words based on where I work with, the interviewer might not understand what you're saying. Well, that's why I mentioned, if you remember, I said, okay, always use the word business owner, vendor contacts. Some organizations, they don't call it business owner, they call it business requester. Some do call it relationship owner, but use that word business owner. Use that keyword vendor contacts. What else? The inherent risk rating, they call it inherent risk rating. If you go into ServiceNow, if you're using any ServiceNow GRC2, they will call it tiering form or tiering assessment. But if you're working in an organization and you're using ServiceNow GRC, they can actually tweak it and call it inherent risk. They have changed the name to inherent risk. You will see what I'm talking about. Don't let me bore you down with that. So let's continue with this. Once you receive back this assessment and you see anything relating to fail, right? You collate all those their gaps. That means they don't have those control in place. You bring it together. Then you do what is called, you put it together, you set up a meeting, right? This also depends on the organization you're working. Either you set up a meeting or you collate all the nodes, all the controls that actually fails, the one that they have open finding on. You collate it together and you send it to the vendor, right? If you're sending to the vendor, you confirm if they have compensating control. But when I'm speaking during an interview, I just like to say, okay, I set up a meeting with the vendor because I think that's the best way, setting up a meeting with the vendor. After collating all the gaps or open findings, you set up a meeting to confirm if they have a compensating control. Compensating control in place. Confirm if they have compensating control in place. Okay. Deeper, what is a compensating control?
Compensating controls are controls you have that replaces your original controls, or that takes place your original controls?
You have to explain yourself very well. What are you saying? Saying rubbish. Say that again. I want to hear you.
They are controls. They are like controls that like are in place of a main control. I don't know how to explain it. Like
You do not, and you're saying it.
yes.
Keep quiet. Hello, Ayo. What do you understand by compensating control? Okay. Anu, what do you understand by compensating control?
I'm not so sure. Similar to what Dupa said is what I'll go for, or I'll say they're like a bridge letter or something, but I'm not sure.
Can I try again?
Don't worry, don't try. Okay, I want to see this person raising his hand. Okay, you are his depot. I'm not calling you anymore. Okay, Mary, what do you understand by compensating control?
Compensating control is like an alternative control that also meets up the requirements of the generic or the original control that was supposed to be in place.
God bless you. This actually is a control, is an alternative control that meets up a requirement. So basically, let me just give you high level example. You have a house, you have a door. Okay, your door in your house is a control, right? But it doesn't really fit in, right? It doesn't really fit in. Let's assume it doesn't really fit in, or anybody can just come in and open the door easily, right, without letting you know. That control fails, right? So I'm asking, do you have a compensating control to that door? That is, what alternative control do you have? What other control that is similar that's going to resolve that issue? That's going to resolve that risk. I can say, okay, I have a lock. Yes, you have a lock or you have a PIN code, to the door. That's a compensating control right there. All right, let's move on. So what you do is confirm if the vendor has compensating control in regards to the open findings that was noted. If they do not have a compensating control, at that point, you need to recommend. You need to do what? Recommend a control. You need to do what? You recommend a control. So basically, let's assume a control stating that I want to use a simple control. I don't want to use, okay, let me just use encryption for you. Let's say, for example, a vendor does not have, let's say, for example, a gap. Excuse me. I'm trying to admit more people to, okay. Let's say the gap is, or the open finding is no policy. Let's say there's no policy and procedure related to encryption. Encryption key management. So the gap is there's no policy and procedure related to encryption key management for the vendor. That's Oracle, right? They don't have a policy for encryption key to manage encryption keys. They don't have a policy in place in the organization. That's a gap, right? So I need to let them know that, okay, since do you have a compensating control for this? If they're actually on the call, let them know, oh, they don't have, or after the meeting, when we send an email of all the gaps and I confirm if they have a compensating, they tell me, oh, they reply, oh, we don't have compensating control. At that point, you now recommend a control. You need to recommend a control. First of all, you need to note what is the risk. You tell the vendor what the risk of not having this control is. Let's assume the risk of not having this control is, okay, let's say the risk is, let's assume the lack of documentation key, or lack of documented key management policy and procedure. Will reduces the assurance. I'll call someone to explain this to me. Reduce the assurance that data is being protected throughout its life cycle. And may lead to breach of confidentiality of J hotspot, confidentiality of J hotspot data. Okay, this is a risk. No policies and procedure related to encryption key. So they don't have policies and procedures for encryption key, for encrypting geospot data. They don't have the procedures, they don't have the policy in place. And for them not having this policy, because the encryption key, this encryption you're looking at is to protect data. Confidentiality purpose. So that no other person, or else you have the right, privilege to see the data. Right? The risk is lack of documented key management policies and procedures. That means lack of these policy and procedures will reduce the assurance. Will reduce the assurance, the trust that data is being protected. We cannot trust them that our data is being protected throughout the life cycle, and it may lead to a breach of confidentiality. I just explained confidentiality to you now of geospot data. That's the risk of them not having these gaps, this control. So at that point, you recommend a control. Since they don't have an alternative control or compensating control, you recommend a control. What control do you want to recommend? Let me just give you, there are a lot of controls you can recommend here. You can just say, okay, let's access. First and foremost, of course, we recommend, okay, they should come up with a policy and procedure for key encryption key management, and they should come up with a policy and procedure for encrypting key management Also, you can also recommend that access to, I don't want to give you too much cryptography. You can Google all these things. Access to cryptography. If you're not reading, I'm sure you will understand all these things. Access to cryptographic keys should be restricted to fewest number of customers, custodian. When I say custodian, that those are actually is managing the data. Fewest number of custodian, data custodians. That's one. There's another, that's two. You can also come up with another one, but I don't want to go into this. Let's just stop there for today. So these are the controls I will recommend, and I will probably give them few based on your organization policy. In JOS4, we give, if we are recommending a control, right? We give the vendor, excuse me, we give the vendor a month to come up with this control, right? We give them 4 months, depending, note this, depending on the organization you're working with, your organization policy in terms of remediations. So these aspects you're looking at is called remediation aspects, remediation plan, right? These are this is a remediation time. You are trying to remediate a control, remediate a risk, right? So this is a risk, this is a control we noted. This is a failure. This is the risk of them not having this control, and you're recommending this to them, to the vendor. So you give them a month to come up with a control, right? After that month, they reach out to you that, okay, we've come up with this control, we have the policies in place. You have to request for the evidence, because I won't just come out with remediated it. No, request for the evidence. You request for what? The evidence. You request for the evidence. After that 1 month, and they say, okay, it's been remediated. You have to request for evidence. So that is it for that. So once you receive the evidence, then you can, that can be closed, that can be signed off by the business owner. But note this, if a vendor comes back and say, oh, we can't remediate, they're unable to remediate this control. You're unable to recommend this, remediate this control, despite the fact that you've recommended. At that point, let me tell you what we do. What we do is you have to reach out. You reach out to the business owner. Let the business owner knows that this cannot be this control cannot be remediated. Right? Control cannot be remediated. If a control cannot be remediated, automatically that has been escalated as an issue. If controls, these are interview questions. If a controls can't be remediated, if a control cannot be remediated, it will be escalated as an issue. Escalated as an issue. In some organizations, they have issue management team. What they do is they manage issues. They manage controls that cannot be remediated. They manage issues. They manage issues. They manage controls that cannot be remediated. That's what they manage. How do they manage it? This is not your job, but how do they manage it? Well, you might be asking an interview anyway. Yeah, you prioritize them. Some organizations will prioritize those issues, those gaps. They prioritize them. Maybe after 4 months, they keep doing follow up on it. Follow up with the vendors to make sure it's been remedied. If it's 4 months, if it's 3 months, they'll just keep doing, keep escalating it, keep doing follow up reminder to make sure it's being remediated. Note that. So anyway, that will be escalated as an issue. As this is the point as well, you reach out to the business owner, as I mentioned. You let the business owner know. Business owner, Latifa, no, Latifa is not the business owner. Who is our business owner? Ada is our business owner. Reach out to Ada, who is the business owner. Please, let Ada know about this whole stuff. So at that point, well, when you're letting that, this is an interview question. If you're letting Ada know, you don't need to blow all this grammar, encryption key. Just explain to Ada in a layman's terms. Oh, business of Ada, this vendor does not have encryption key, but basically they don't have a mechanism for protecting our data with them. There should be a policies and a procedure for protecting our data with them. There's a particular mechanism that is used to protect this data. And if these data are not well protected with the vendor, there might be a breach of data whereby anybody can actually see the data. Data can be spoofed easily, can be exfiltrated. Data can be exfiltrated from anybody. Anybody can see the data. Hackers can actually go in easily without no protection mechanism. And this might cause reputational risk to Geosport. This might devalue the business. Most business owners want to hear the financial loss. So you just keep explaining to them in the final. Okay, this might reduce the value of business. There might be a financial loss to the organization. Tell them the reason why, the motive, or just explain. Okay, what's the cost of them not having this? What is my actually cost to the organization, right? This is an interview question. That how do you explain? How do you relate an open finding or an issue that cannot be related to the business owner? These are core interview questions. So you need to explain to them in a layman's terms. No big grammars, no jargons, right? Thank you. Let's move on. Okay. So once you explain to the business owner at that point, business owner will, at that point, when you explain you confirm with the business, do you still want to go with these vendors, despite the fact that I have all those gaps and the likes in place? You don't remember, Mr. Joseph mentioned this, you don't make decision for the business owner. All you're just doing is advising the business owner. You don't make decision that, oh, don't let us use this vendor. No. They might ask you that, okay, what do you feel? Yeah. You give them explanation, the risk, and you tell them based on your own judgmental approach. Let the business know if truly you want it. That's if you are asked, but don't make decision, right? So this is an interview question 2. Do you decide if the vendor should go if the business should go with the vendor or not? No. All you're doing is you're advising, right? You're an advisor. You're an assessor. Let the business owner know. If business owner insists that they still want to go with the business with the vendor, fine. At that point, you request for what is called an exemption policy. Some organizations call it exemption policy. I hope I'm right with my can't remember section. policy or risk acceptance. I've actually come across risk acceptance a lot than exception policy. So you request for a risk acceptance. They are accepting the risk because they own the risk. So they'll be the ones to accept the risk. You get it? Why? This is an evidence. Noting that, okay, yes, they're actually going with a vendor. They'll still want to go with the, with a vendor. All right. So you request for a risk acceptance. Once a risk acceptance is being accepted, signed, and all that, then you move. You can actually get a sign off from the BO sign off, the business owner sign off, and approval. Then at that point, once that has been done, it moves to the stage. It moves to. Where's that stage again? Anu, what stage does it move to? Anu, what stage does it move to? I guess.
Sorry, Mr. John, I want to cut you. Is it exception or exception?
Exception.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anu, are you sleeping?
I'm not sleeping because you had it up already, so I guess you already
what stage?
Okay, so it moves to the contract execution then.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it moves to contract execution stage. All right. I'm not done with that due diligence part. There are some things I need to explain. So I was explaining this part. I just quickly run through these aspects of one is when you do the remediation aspect and all that. Then, so it's the same thing applies if you are using C questionnaire, right? If you are using C questionnaire, where's my C again? I can't find it. Oh no. Let me bring out the C. If you are using C, I'm sorry, I will do 1 hour or 40 minutes. Class, move this class. I want to do another class. I want to end it for today. So it's going to be easier for you guys to watch the videos. So I'll show you guys something. Okay. I'm about to show you guys. The same thing applies to you if you're using a SIG. If you're using a SIG. So basically, if you're using a SIG, or you collate anything, mostly automatically all these no. Anyway, you say no, no. That means they don't have the what's it called, the controls in place. So at that point, you collate all the nodes. First of all, you collate all the nodes. Once you collect all the nodes, those are automatically open findings that you need to reach out to the vendor on, right? But I have worked in a situation whereby they just collect any yes, they just look for, they just once it stays yes, they review the yes if they have is actually noted in the evidence. But I have a particular, I have a friend back there. What he does is once there's yes, it's fine. So the nodes, you only collect the nodes and you know that as an open findings. But that's very wrong, please. Take note of this. Collect all the nodes automatically, fine. So the yes, you have to review them. If you see anomalies in there, you combine it with the nodes. These are no open findings. You need to confirm with the vendor. All right. So that is it. I wanted to explain. I think that's okay. On-site assessments. What do we do when we go on-site? For critical vendors, I work on this whereby we go on site, we want to, was it Uruguay? I think it's Uruguay. Yeah. So for a particular vendor, is a critical vendor. So my manager had to travel. So it was to Uruguay. Yeah, Uruguay. So one of the vendors, so when you're going to vendor that are critical, right? Critical vendors, you go with on-site, with that you're doing on-site assessment. They might ask you during the, have you gone for on-site? Yes, I've gone for an on-site assessment. So if you go for, don't just say yes. If you're going for on-site assessments, there are things you review when you go on site. This is for you. But before you go on site, reach out to the business owner, to the vendor contacts, right? Letting the vendor contact know that okay, you're coming. So
Excuse me.
I'll ask.
Trying to get in.
I will open. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Admit, thank you. So reach out to the vendor contacts before you go on site. Requests. You can send all these lists that they should provide all this to be provided by the vendor. You see, to be provided by the vendor prior to the on-site visit. So all these lists on on-site assessment areas. These are the areas: physical, security, admin and security, configuration setting. These are areas, just few, processes and procedures. So if I go on site, all I'm just doing is this physical security. I'm telling them I'm going to the data center, all this place. Please provide for the admins and security configuration settings. Can you provide all this for me? So when you go on site, it's easier for the whosoever is taking you, that is giving you the tour. Basically, it's going to be the vendor contact you are meeting with. So vendor contact will take you around to see all this. This is your assessor on-site guy to see all the CCTV, alarm system, visitors logbook, UPS and diesel, visitors process and badges on the data centers. All right. So these are your findings. You put in your findings here. Put in your findings here, right? You go to this. So there is the vendor contact will take you to the server administrator. You know, the server administrator, you start asking questions around these areas. You want to check if the operating system version match. I don't need to explain all this, sorry. So these are the things you check for on-site. Then you collect your findings. Once you collect your findings, you might use 2 days to do this, depending. Then you collect your findings, maybe when you're in your hotel room or when you get back home, then you collect all the findings, probably not email the vendor if they have compensating control. If not, you need to recommend, right? The same approach, but this is for on-site. After doing the virtual assessment, you can do on-site assessment too. Any question before I move to the next stage? We're done. We're done. So any question? Okay, I think we're good. Mary, your question.
Yes.
We have question for 6 minutes before we move to the next stage. Okay, Mary, any question?
Yeah, my question is, as a vendor risk assessor, is it in all situations that you also do on-site assessment?
Can you share that again?
Is it in all situations when they employ you as a vendor risk assessor?
Yes,
It
depends. It depends on the organization, right? If they want you to go, if you have been employed and they feel okay, you know what you're doing, they can actually tell you to go for on-site. They feel okay, you're comfortable or you have experience, yeah, you know what you're doing, they can send you for on-site. I don't know if I'm able to answer that question.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, any other question?
I have a question, please.
Yeah. What's name?
Esther.
Okay.
Yes, sir. There was one time you said that how do you explain gap noted on an assessment to a business owner? I didn't quite catch that. Can you just please?
How do I what?
How do you explain gap
Okay,
noted on
gap.
an assessment to a business owner? I know you did explain gap and all that, but for the answer to that question, in the interview.
Okay. Arno, I'm calling Arno because we talk all the time. I'm sorry, guys. Arno?
I would explain it to the product owner in a more.
No, not product owner here.
Oh,
You are not
sorry.
doing Scrum.
Product owner in a more
Business owner.
business
product.
owner
Yeah.
in a layman way, in a more not technical way, letting them know what the risk is, what the impact is, what the risk is, what the recommendation was, or the remediation plan is, and what the impact is to our organization. And then confirm with the product owner, the business owner after all this explanation, if they still want to go with this vendor. And if they say yes, then I'll request a risk acceptance or policy exception policy from them.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I was nervous. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. What else? Where are we? Do we have Mr. Joseph around? Probably I can pick as Brandon leader.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mr. Joseph.
Morning, sir.
Okay. If you have questions, Mr. Joseph is here. And if Mr. Joseph actually have anything to say for now, before we move to the next step. Okay, Mr. Question. I'm actually giving you the floor. So the floor is open to you.
Yeah, let's just give a question if you have question, so that we don't move far along. If you have any question, go ahead. Okay.
I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
It still goes back to the question that the previous person asked. I know Mr. John was telling us that if they tell us that I might not say it's word for word, apologies. If they tell us that they don't have those controls or those controls cannot be remediated, then we escalate it, then it becomes an escalated issue. And you made mention about we have like a department. Yes, thank you. That we have an issue management that actually follows up with those. My question now is, when do I tell the business owner, when do I explain to the business owner? Is it before I reach out to the issue management or afterwards? That's one. And secondly, what would the issue management do? I know you said they will remind them, they will prioritize those issues, keep reminding them and all, but if they've told us that they cannot remediate the controls, what reminder are they sending? That I got a bit confused there as well.
Okay, this question varies per company. I don't know if Mr. Joseph organization actually have a way of,
Yes, I can take this one.
Okay, all right.
So look at it this way: it's a process. You request documentation, you review it, and there were gaps of finding. Some company, you have a report. It's like a sheet, like the one you're seeing right now. Maybe just Word document. They will write the findings there. You write the impact, recommendation, and evidence to close. Once you're done with that, you will schedule a meeting or an email with the business owner. At that point, with that business owner, you're walking the business owner through that report. That is the issue. You're already on remediation at this point, right? In some company, they have an issue management team. In some company, they don't have it. Let's just say the instance where they have it, and the business owner is saying, I want to move forward. Okay, you have exception team or exception process. What you will do, you work the business owner to that team. The business owner will take it up there. All you're looking for is just evidence that the business have accepted the risk, and you just document that in your process. That's how the process works in some company. However, there are small companies where they don't have issue management team, which means you are the vendor risk management team will own that process. What you will do once you schedule that meeting with the business owner, walk them through the findings, you can then tell the business owner that you want to work with him or she to work with the vendor to provide you evidence to close. Let's just say the vendor say we can't do it, we don't have the resources. What you will do at that point, you let the business owner make decision. What you will need might just be an email from the business owner because it's a small company, right? The business owner will say something like, I am moving forward because the business need this, because with this, we're going to make $3 million, for instance. That email correspondence is what you will use to close that observation of finding in your system. However, this issue is still open because vendor risk assessment is not a one-time process, right? For high risk vendors, you assess them every year. For medium, you assess them every 2 years. For some company, low risk vendor, you assess them every 3 years. So when you come back again to reassess that vendor, maybe they already fixed this issue. So that's how the process, it depends on the company. So it's not a one size fits all.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Joseph, can you just quickly run through ongoing monitoring? Just a few minutes. I think I didn't touch that. You can just touch that just a bit.
Ongoing monitoring depends on different companies and different firms. Some companies use a different platform. They call some of them the security scorecard, the bid side. You have nothing to do on these ones. This one is just a URL they give you. You put the information of those vendors and it will come out with vulnerability. Sometimes they are false negative. Okay, that's one part of continuous monitoring. Another part is you assessing that vendor every now and then. Let's just say there was a ransomware somewhere that infecting all computer in the US, and you have a vendor, you know, they're using computer, you're going to reach out to that vendor. That is continuous monitoring as well. Think of ongoing monitoring or continuous monitoring as what you're doing as you move along every day, as you hear new information about that vendor. If I'm engaging, what is your company name, John? I think
J. Osborne.
If J. Osborne is my vendor, and somebody is telling me that J. Osborne just got hacked, guess what? I'm going to reach out to them. Hey, is my data safe? Are we impacted? Would you continue to do business for me? That's ongoing monitoring. Anything you're doing to continue to manage that vendor. In fact, in some job title, it's not vendor risk. They call it third-party risk manager. That means you are managing the risk or the inherent risks the vendor is bringing to your company. Any question? Look at all these things that they're talking about, controls, findings. It's just the same thing like you're seeing this screen. They are all document. You're not doing more than that. It's just document that you're reviewing. That's what it is. Don't look at it too big, you know, or complicated. It's just a process. You're just doing an assessment. You request document from the vendor, you review it, you write finding, you circle back to the business owner, let them know what the finding is, and you continue to monitor that vendor as time goes. More question.
Any question? We have 3 more minutes before we move to the next stage.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Mr. Joseph.
Good morning, ma'am.
This is Temitayo Alanior. You had made mention that assessments are done for the risk matrix. You had mentioned for high, it's every year, moderate every 2 years, low every 3 years. For those that have the critical risk matrix, what's the time frame for that?
Again, it depends on how they tier in every environment. For some company, when you see a vendor is critical, it means the company cannot do without that vendor. So that's why they say it's critical. Because of that, some company can make it quarterly. It's not going to be you're going to take them through the entire process. Maybe you're just going to be asking them, provide me your pen test, provide me your ISO. Have you been breached before? Just kind of high level question in quarterly. However, for instance, if a vendor is processing your credit card information, which bring the PCI DSS standard into scope, by default, the expectation is they need to be doing vulnerability scan quarterly. So those can be part of your critical vendors where you say quarterly, I want you to provide me your pen test quarterly. Those are how some company define quarterly critical vendors. Or let's just say I own a printing press, right? And this vendor is providing the printing machine. Without a printing machine, I don't have a business, right? That printing machine, the vendor that provide that become critical to me. So therefore, I need to put them on ground all the time. I can be accessing them quarterly. So look at it as the machine. If a vendor is providing that core services to that company can flag them as critical.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Any more questions?
Yeah, Mr. Joseph.
Hi, this is Anne.
Mr. Joseph, my name is Kola Lige. Yeah, still under matrix. I want to ask, can we still classify moderate under high or under low? Where do we place moderate?
So just the way you sound the name, moderate, that would be medium. It's just the name. If you look at the screen right before you, we have so critical, high, moderate, and low. So if I own a printing machine and the vendor is providing that machine, I will flag them as critical because I can't print no document without them. However, maybe I have somebody that come for maintenance to service that machine. I won't put them on critical, but because it don't make sense, I can put them on high because I still need maintenance. Let's say I hire somebody to be cleaning the office.
Oh my God. You can mute yourself, Mr. Joseph. I'm sorry.
So again, just look at it like this. It depends on the taxonomy or the policy or the process of that company. Put yourself, if you have a company, think of which of those vendors you will make critical. Think of those ones you will make high, moderate, and low. It depends. If I have somebody coming to my house, for instance, just to sweep outside of the house, that vendor, I will classify them low. They don't have access into my house, right? If I have somebody that will be cleaning my living room, this is where my kids run around, I can classify that as high because my kids are there. However, if I have somebody on the side of the house, they can gain access, but on the side, though they are inside the compound, but they are not inside my house, I can make it moderate. If I have somebody cooking my food, the food I will eat, the cool food my family will eat, I can make that critical. Think about a company in that way. This data, this information, these systems, that's how they classify those vendors. Okay.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. I really appreciate it.
Mr. John, please, can I take, please, I'm so sorry, just one question, please.
Okay.
I kind of know the answer, but I just want to be sure since I'm new to this. So Mr. Joseph, so for example, I'm just going to take one of those metrics. So let's assume we took high, which is, we continue to monitor this every year. So I, as a third-party assessor, where do I come in here? I'm believing that before that it's up to that 1 year, I'm going to send an email or something to the vendors, right? With the same questionnaires I sent to them the previous year to fill out any changes or additions, or just fill out their controls, where status are with their controls, right? Or who will be the one to do it if I'm not the one? I'm not sure, but I don't know if my question makes sense.
Yes, no question that will make sense. No question makes sense. I've been in class before where the teacher was almost rounding up the class, and the week we were rounding up, and I was asking, this production that you guys are talking about, is it where they do factory like chips, like fries, like food? So there's no such thing as wrong question. All questions are relevant. It might not be relevant to you, somebody might be gaining from it. So this is how some company works. So remember, if you look at this slide, when we first come in, they talk about GROC and they say service now. I saw it in the screen when I first log in. GROC service now. I think that's what this class is all about. What happens is every company have a tool that they use. Okay, those tools has been configured in such a way that once you close an assessment that is high, maybe they call it tiering in some company, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or high, medium, low, whatever the case. What happened, those two is configured as once you close that assessment, some company configure it that on the 10th month, that is 2 months before the 12th month, right? Let's say January through December. On October, the system will generate an email to you, letting you know that assessment is ready to be kicked off, right? What you will do, that will prompt you. You then send email to the business owner. At that point, there are questions you ask. One of them will be, are you still the current business owner for this vendor? You can also ask, is the scope of service the same? You can also ask, could you please provide me the current point of contact? Because all of these people must have changed, right? Because there are promotion, people lost job. That would then prompt you that an assessment is done. Once you gather that information from that business owner, you can then reach out to the vendor or the vendor point of contact. When you're reaching out to them, there are situations you don't have to start all over. If you do a thorough assessment last year, what I do, high level recommendation, you start to target the vendor specifically, because sometimes the C questionnaire is a standard. Okay, it might not be applicable to them where they say this does not apply to us. But this time, you can begin to do what we call custom questionnaire. You target the vendor specific controls. Or there are situations like where my company where I work, they have what they call fast track. If a vendor provide you SOC report that cover all 5 trust principle, if a vendor provide you AOC, PCI DSS AOC that is signed by QSA, if they provide you ISO 27701, once they give you this, for us, it's a fast track. See, we don't need to do anything further than that. For other companies, it might be different. So that's how the process works.
Thank you.
We're taking one more. Ayodeji, I can see your hand. So because I
Yeah.
have someone to.
Thank you, Mr. John. I guess my question, based on listening to the class from the beginning till now, it does sound like we really need a very strong foundation in security. And I was, kind of still looking through, the videos that you had sent to us. I was just kind of wondering, like, in your opinion, what's the most that we need to kind of get on that, on all the videos and also the textbook to be able to, at least barest minimum do this job? Because going into security for the first time and reading all that, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say overwhelming, but like at the same time it's a lot, right? So I was just kind of wondering from your opinion, what do you think it's the barest minimum to be able to get by?
Okay, so I'll give you a different scenario before Mr. Joseph comes in. The thing is, I'm actually teaching the third-party risk management process. The difference between you getting the process skills and also getting the technical skills when it comes to understanding security, which is a prerequisite. So if you understand security, that's reading your textbook, watching videos often and often. That's a security plus, and the videos I sent to you, watching, you will understand the fundamental of security, like the questionnaire that I actually sent out, that I didn't send that out anyway. All those controls in the questionnaires will be easy for you to analyze So my class is based, this particular class is based on process. I've seen people getting a job on just knowing process, because most of the questions you'll be seeing out there anyway during interview, 90% of the hiring manager will ask you process questions. But you might not be you might not be lucky to have that kind of experience whereby you might be asked technical question based on security. So this class is actually focused on the process, how you process to do the job. But the fundamental part, which is security part, I do not take it in this class. So your focus should be answering your question. Your focus should be reading the Security Plus textbook, watching the videos, understanding the process. If you watch my videos, my video from week 1 to week 4 or week 1 to week 5, either way, you will understand the process. And probably today, if I'm able to do it, or we can set up 1 hour during the week, I will just introduce myself, how I do introduce myself. So you can actually use that and modify if you want to, or we can have a call, depending. I'm picking the serious ones, then we'll just run through it. And I think I sent out one video, my past video, one of them to few people. So, Mr. Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to say?
Just to make sure I'm on the same page with you, I hope this class is free, right?
Yeah, it's a free class.
Thank you. So look at it this way. So everything Mr. John said is right, but I just want to add to it. When you say minimum, there's no such, I'm still learning. Even in this class, I'm just learning. Okay, just know that everybody is learning. Process is changing, technology is changing. But for vendor risk management specific, I want you to spend some time on how to review a contract and what are you looking for in a contract, okay? I want you to spend time on the C questionnaire, go through, you don't have to understand every single questions, but I recommend once you read it, Google them, search them. You can reach out to your teacher and ask those questions, or you can have a group where you discuss, okay? Those third-party attestation report that you are reviewing, how do you review it? What are you looking for? Okay. How to communicate. I can't emphasize that enough. If you have an accent like me, start to record yourself and learn how to slow down, how to let somebody finish talking before you talk. All those are skills that you will need. Also, how to write those findings when there's a gap. I don't know, there was somebody that was explaining capacity control. That was really brilliant. That's how you do it. You practice it. And don't try to memorize how to talk about in the interview. Just understand this will be the basis for vendor risk assessment, because it's really not a big, you don't have to understand network, firewall in detail, security operations center in detail. You just need to have good understanding of those controls. Okay.
Thank you. So before I call on the next person, I want you guys to see this, right? You can write it down, venminda.com, right? Before I started doing third party, I've watched this. There are a lot of videos here, a lot of checklists, infographics, white paper. Is very, very useful. When I say it's very, 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 I still look at it to date. You get a lot of information here, a lot of information. ebook, vendor risk management cheat sheet, 19 things you should be doing. All these things. There are videos too. Let me see, education. Okay, videos. 2-minute short videos. These are short videos to watch. System completing a vendor risk assessment process. 4 reasons monitoring vendor financial health is important. Managing third-party cybersecurity. These are like 2 minutes, 3 minutes videos. Please go and research on all these things. You will get a lot of information. All right, thank you so much. And this stage, I want to go into the automation part. All the tiering form we've explained, see questionnaire, sending question to be, these are manual approach whereby we look at the word and we'll send it to the business owner by email. No, I want to show you the automated parts whereby we'll be leveraging ServiceNow. Let's assume you are using ServiceNow GRC tool in your organization. This is the tool. Let's assume we are using this tool in the organization, right? Wherever you're working. So we're trying to see how it's being automated. If you'll be lucky whereby you're not using, I worked in a position whereby we don't have a GRC tool. Everything is manual, Excel, Word, everything is manual. But now we want to perform all the manual approach into this automation. And I'll be calling my wife will be the one to run this. Her name is Kikelo Motawo. She's a ServiceNow developer, and she understands the TPRM lifecycle as well. So she's going to run the automation for you guys to see. If you have questions, I'll be on the call too. If you have questions, you can ask me. If she can handle that part, I'm here. All right. I want to know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
very audible.
Very well.
Exactly.
Excuse me. I need to off. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello,
We are
sir.
here.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
The recording has stopped.
Hello?
Hello.
Sir, we can hear you, Mr. John.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you're audible.
All right.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
We
Very
can
well.
hear you.
Okay, all right. Sorry. I had to remove it from my headphones so I can be hearing what she's saying. Okay, I'm gonna give her
By the way, the recording is stopped.
yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, loud and clear.
All right, good. Hi. So my name is Kike, like you said. So we're gonna be going over the ServiceNow GRC vendor risk management application. So if you have any questions, just stop me at any time, and if I can't answer, John will answer. Okay. Thank you. All right. So this is the ServiceNow platform, right? This on the left navigation, this is the application. So once we type any word, it's gonna come up on the left navigator, and then we're gonna be seeing the word on the right side, which is the content menu, right? So I'm gonna be typing in vendor, since we are talking about vendor risk management. So here is the vendor risk application. This is the application navigator. This is the banner here, and then this is the content menu in the center here, right? So we're focusing on vendor risk management. So we have our overview, right? So once I go on to the overview, we're gonna be seeing a dashboard whereby it contains the vendor and then the engagement, right? So for example, there's a total of 79 vendors, and then we have an open tiering assessment, which is 0. We have an open risk assessment, which is 1. And then we have a past tiering assessment, which is 0. And then the tier recommended risk assessment, which is 0, right? And then
I quickly want to jump into this. So for total vendors, it's telling you that, okay, this is the total vendor we have a GeoSpot that we still need to work on, right? Open tiering assessment. Another word for tiering assessment, remember, is called inherent risk assessment. So we have 0 inherent risk. That means this is like a dashboard that is giving an overview that can give management, top management overview of what we have at the moment. So we don't have any inherent risk assessment that we need to work on, or tiering assessment that we need to work on. Open risk. This is the open risk assessment that we need to work on. That's what this is saying. So no past tiering assessments, no tiering recommendation. Don't worry about those ones. But focus on this total view, open tiering, open risk. I want to assume this open risk is basically saying this is the open findings we have, right? So that's it. This is just a dashboard. So let me give it to her. Let me quickly run through this. So as an assessor, if you're working in any organization, all you're seeing is all this. These are all the things you'll be seeing. You won't be seeing any other areas apart from this. So basically, this vendor part is the vendor, the engagements. Let me quickly run through what an engagement is. For example, I think I talked about this in the first class or second class. In engagement is basically saying, for example, as Microsoft, we have different engagement with Microsoft in GeoSpot. We are actually using Microsoft Azure, which is a cloud. We have Microsoft Office, like the Outlook, the Word, and the likes. That is another engagement. So now at that point, we have 2 engagements: Microsoft Office, which is one of the engagements; Microsoft Cloud, which is Azure part. That's another engagement. So you might be working with a vendor you might have a vendor that has 3 or 4 engagements with you guys. So that is what an engagement means, right? So let me give it to her to continue.
Thank you. All right. So like I said, we have, so this is the vendor. So it's just like a dashboard, and then the engagement is here. So there's nothing in the engagement, it's 0, right? But we're going to be focusing on the vendor, right? So I'm going to go into all vendors. This is where we have all the vendor in the system. You can see 79. And then if I go back to the overview too, I can also open it from there. So you can open it multiple ways. But today we're going to be focusing on Kendra, which is going to be the vendor. This, you can see there is Workman here, there's Samsung, there's ServiceNow. So these are different vendors in the system. So I'm going to be focusing more on Kendra.
So basically, these are all the vendors, because I try to relate this so that you guys can relate with what we started with. These are all the vendors in GeoHotspot that we have. These are all our vendors in GeoHotspot, right? So Work Faster is one vendor. CloudWall is our vendor. Amazon is our vendor. They are providing software, hardware, services to us. These are the kind of services they are providing, let's assume, right? Cyber Power, they are providing hardware to us and the likes. So who is the vendor manager? We have vendor manager for this. We can put vendor manager for all these things. The business owner, can you see? So the business owner for Work Faster is Edwin. They have 2 people. So what's the vendor tier? So it's very high. Risk rating, let's say moderate, right? Focus on this. Don't worry about this. Risk rating, moderate, status, active, and the likes. When it was created. So let me give out a mouse.
All right. So we're going to be focusing on Kendra, which is going to be the vendor that I created. So I'm going to look for the vendor that we created. So actually, we actually have 180, I'm sorry. But based on those ones, at 79. So we have Kendra. So I'm gonna be showing you Kendra vendors.
Kendra is one of Geospor's vendor.
Yes, so Kendra is one of Geospor's vendor. All right, so the name of the vendor is Kendra, right? We have the website here, www.kendra.com. So, and then the industry is technology. And then you could see here the status. We could pick either prospect, active, unauthorized, or retire. So
let me quickly run through this. This status is saying prospect. So probably is a new vendor, right? In Geosport, that's how we classify it. Prospect means is a new vendor we are trying to onboard. Active, that means we are using them already. If it's active unauthorized, it has not been authorized. Maybe it has not been approved by the business owner, or contract has not been completed, let's assume. While retired means we've terminated the vendor. There are different ways, different reasons why we terminate vendors. We might terminate vendor based on the fact that they are not abiding to the policies, or they are not compliant with the contracts. We might retire the vendor maybe because we're done with the services they're providing. There are different ways to retire a vendor, just for you to know. Okay, all right. So on this place, we have the risk rating. It won't populate yet. So risk tier, don't worry about. Vendor tier, don't worry about. Vendor manager and business owner. So let me give Fad the mouse to continue.
All right, thank you. So for here now, we're going to be putting prospect because this is a new vendor. So I'm going to leave it as prospect. And then here, once you create a vendor, when you create a vendor, you have to have their information, their street address, the phone number. So I already created this here. And then we have a business owner here. So make sure that you know, like you said, focus, this is going to be business owner. So I have it as Fred Ludi, right? And then here at the bottom here, we have a vendor contact, which I already created too. So the vendor contact for this Kendra is going to be Jackie Phillips. So anything they need to ask about the company, they can go to Jackie Phillips to ask questions about the vendor, okay? So I already created this. So now that we have our vendor Kendra, and then we have our vendor contact as Jackie. So now we need to create our tiering assessment. We need to create our tiering assessment. So, which is also known as inherit risk, right? All right. So I'm going to be going to this tab here to create an inherit assessment. All right. So I'm going to create new. Okay, so let me save this first because I made changes to the status. So I'm going to right click and save. All right. So now I'm going to be creating the tiering assessments. All right. So you can see here that it's still in draft. So here is a flow that we need to follow in order to close this tiering assessment. So we have the draft, the awaiting response, we have the tiering assignment, and then we have the closed. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and create this tiering assessment. Okay. All right. So I'm going to create this as Kendra inherit. Okay. And I'll probably make the short description the same as the name. Paste it here. All right, so we're going to be assigning this tiering assessment. Who are we going to assign it to? For example, we can assign this to a business owner. So I'm going to be creating, I'm going to assign it. I don't even have any user here, so I can go ahead and create a new user. So I can put John. And John Bobby. And then the username. All right, so I'm going to create the username is going to be John Bobby. I'm going to create an email address. So John J Bobby at example Kendra.com. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. All right. So we have John Bobby as we're gonna assign the tiering assessment, and then now we're gonna have the tiering assessor. We're gonna add a tiering assessor. So I'm gonna add Myra to the tiering assessor. So basically, the user is already on the system, so that's why he's able to search for the users. So I'm gonna put Myra, and then I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Okay. So you can see now that once I saved it, right, we have our tiering questionnaire here, and then we have our vendor tiering scale here. But before I go there, we want to go ahead and create a questionnaire, right? So I'm going to go ahead and edit. All right. So there's already a out of the box. Out of the box means that what comes with ServiceNow already. So I'm going to be using the basic questionnaire for the inherent risk. So I'm going to be picking the basic. Sorry, let me do it again. So I'm gonna move it here and I'm gonna save this. All right, okay. So once that is done, I'm gonna go ahead and submit this assessment, right? So once I submit this, John Bobby is going to go ahead and we're gonna assign it to John Bobby. So John Bobby is gonna be the one to fill this out, okay?
At that point, note that John Bobby is the business owner. Continue.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and submit this assessment. Okay, so I know what happens. Okay, Myra. So, okay, you can see here that says the one tiering questionnaire for Kendra has been sent to assessor. So that's Myra. So Myra is gonna be the one to fill this out, okay? All right. So let's see this. Let's go back. All right, so now what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go ahead and impersonate Myra.
Okay, you guys, what happened here is, right? I think they actually took, based on the way this system was actually brought, configured, the tiering assessor here is meant to be the business owner. Because so can you change it?
All right, so yeah,
just change it.
Okay.
Change this, please. Be a business owner.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't explain that. You don't need to explain that.
Okay, so let me change this.
You don't need to understand this part. This is a work of a developer. So I want to change that name to business owner so you understand better. Probably we are working. If you have any issue with all this backend, it's the work of the developer to do that, not you. So Mara is the business owner at the point that will complete this form.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and impersonate Myra now, so we can go ahead and fill out.
So this form has actually has been inherent risk form has been sent to Myra. So you can see awaiting response. So let's go to Myra and see the inherent risk form now to be completed.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and impersonate the user. So
remember the inherent risk form was sent. Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question, Tim Tayalaniro?
Okay.
So ServiceNow that the TPRM is using, also the business owner has access to this.
Yeah, everyone has, the business owner has access to it. The assessor, you as an assessor have access to it as well. The vendor contacts also have access, but all those assets we're talking about here,
minimal.
They are role assets.
Okay.
You know, based on they are role-based assets. So yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and impersonate Myra. Okay, so now here I'm gonna be typing survey. My assessment and survey. There you go. All right, so here you can see assigned to Myra, ready to take. So I'm gonna go ahead and do take survey. All right.
Another name for the survey is still the inherent risk assessment questionnaire, just for you to know. Okay, these are the questions.
All right, so it says, please rate the overall quality of your service. I'm gonna put good. And then will you contact the customer support group again if a similar issue arose? I'm gonna put yes. How will you rate the technician who took your call? Helpful.
These are assumption questions. So just
was the technician who took your call courteous and respectful? Yes. And then was your issue resolved? Yes. And then if you have any comment, but we're not gonna put any comment. So I'm gonna go ahead and submit this. All right. So now that we have taken the assessment, now I'm gonna impersonate back to my name, which is the system administrator.
No, you're the page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Assessor.
I'm the assessor. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead back to the vendor. And then Kindle, well, JL4, sorry. All right, so I'm gonna go into the turn assessments. Okay. Okay, so now that I have
The recording has stopped.
Okay. There's something you're supposed to do here. Excuse me.
She needs to refresh.
No, not. There's something wrong with the system. Not the refresh part. Yeah, impersonate fidelity. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry, impersonate. A second, please. Go to software. Okay. Still the same. Okay. Submit. And go back. Go to vendor. What's next? This one too. No, the other one.
Hello, Mr. John. I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, so this platform, instead of using the maybe the manual getting information and all that back and forth with Excel, you use this platform as the automated one, right? Where you communicate with the business owner, you communicate with everybody, and all your assessment is done on this platform.
Yes, all assessments are done on this platform. Yes.
So there's always an auto-generated email whenever let's say the business owner responds, you get an auto-generated email in your email just to alert you that okay, or you get an alert that she's already responded, then you go back in there to go check and all that, right?
Yeah. So basically, let me resume.
This meeting is being recorded.
So basically what happens is once an assessment, let me say, once an inherent risk form is being sent to the business owner, right? You will get a notification as an email, right? The business owner will get a notification to go. So once it's is it either the notification, there will be a link, the ServiceNow link there, whereby he or she will click it and it's going to pop up this instance, right? Are you with me? Oh, hello?
Amen.
Okay. So information not. So can you, okay. So once the business owner when it pops up, the business owner will complete that form that we just completed now. So once I complete submit, it's going to come over here. So it's going to move into there's something wrong with this ServiceNow platform here. Probably I need to fix it later. But anyway, so once it's been completed, it's going to move from awaiting response to tiering assessment. It's going to move to this stage. So once you move to this stage, it's going to trigger a rating, right? So now let me go into, so it's going to give us a tier, it's going to give us a rating for the vendor. On the inherent risk, it's going to give an inherent risk rating. So the rating will come here. All right. The rating will come to this place, not that one. It's going to come here, risk rating, not this. Don't worry about this. It's going to come to this one. Well, I don't know what's wrong with the system. Let's assume that there's a rating here called high inherent risk. So from there, once we derive the high inherent risk rating, we will now reach out to the vendor. So who is the vendor contact here? The vendor contact is Jack Phillips. So we're reaching out to the vendor contacts. So now I want to send a questionnaire to the vendor contact. Let's send a questionnaire to the vendor contact, which is Jack Phillips.
We're not selecting.
Please mute yourself. So let me tell you what we did in Geospot. We have actually set up the kind of questions. This happens in different organizations. We've set up the kind of questions we send to critical vendors, to our high-risk vendors, to our moderate vendors. We have different questions. We say some organizations does not do that. They do not do that, rather. So what they do is they just have one questions, not high risk. They just get one questionnaire rather. They send to either high, moderate, low, high, moderate, critical vendors. But in Geospot, we actually have the kind of questions we send to the vendor based on their inherent risk rating. So let's assume this vendor is an inherent risk rating vendor. So this is question we'll send. So you see, if you look at this, this is a sample question, seek call. So documents, we are requesting a document, SOAK report. Let's assume we are requesting a SOAK report from the vendor, right? Some organization note these as well. I might request for a lot. I might have a lot to request for. But in this example, we only requested for SOAK reports, right? And this is the template, SOAK seek questionnaire that we are sending to them to complete. So now we want to send this to the vendor. Forget about my spelling.
John, why you
Yes.
John, why you clicking that? Can I also be explaining as you're moving your cursor?
Yes. Yes.
So as right now, what he's trying to do, he's trying to create what we call the assessment record. The page where we were before, where Nikki open, where you have the name, the vendor, website, and the business owner, that is called the vendor record. But right now, where this stage where he is, this face, this interface is called assessment record. Okay, every single year for high in rate risk, you will get one of these will be created. So normally, the system will create one himself. Okay, but what he's doing is manually creating one now. Okay, okay, that's what it is. Once he clicks submit, you're going to see a little assessment record underneath. Okay, if you go update, you see right now you have one. That's what they call assessment record. But the entire page, this entire page, if you move up a little bit, this is called the vendor record. Okay, you have the business owner name here, right there on the right hand side, the business owner name. You have, yes, if you go up a little bit, where you see vendor manager, we can also manually open it and put the vendor point of contact email address. It usually will not take the name, but it will take the email address. If you see your top left hand side, that's Kendra, that's the vendor name. The website, that's the website, is a URL. You can go like Costco.com or whatever, Amazon.com and paste it there. You see where you see the parent company, some company have a sub company, like you have ROCCG, you have all these other churches underneath. So that's why you have the mother and the parent company. Like she said earlier, this is where you put the contact information there. Okay.
Okay. So Raul is on draft stage. So I want to send these assessments. What's the assessment again? Okay. Yeah. So now look at this point. These assessments you're looking at, this SIG and this, I'm sending it. So this is the document I am requesting from the vendor for Kendra. So now if I click a submit to vendor, submit to vendor. I think it should go. There's a let me try and see if it's gonna go, because I don't know why it's giving error. This system is giving this app is giving error.
I think you haven't checked the SOC report. Like there's a check box underneath, right there, left. Yeah, I think you haven't checked it. Yeah.
It's okay. Now let's see if the vendor is going to would have actually received it. So if I submit a vendor an assessment like that, a SIG questionnaire like that, automatically the vendor will receive a notification. It's going to receive a notification. So once he's going to click on the what's it called? Click on the notification, the link. So once you click on the link, then probably he's going to see the assessments, the questionnaire that needs to be filled up. So don't worry about this part. We're just trying to bring out the password. I'm sorry. Would have actually created this. Okay. So what happened is there's an issue with this system. I don't know what happened. Excuse me.
To me, this is pretty normal. I currently use ServiceNow. They're always broken, except if you have people like your wife that can fix them real quick. But this is just how, not just the tool, a lot of tools will be doing this. If this happen, there are situations where you reach out to your manager and let them know the tool is not functioning, is unable to send C questionnaire or TR the vendor. Then they can give you permission whether you want to send it via email. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I don't want to keep us waiting here. Probably I'll try to set up something else too. I'll give you a video that I've done in the past, so you guys remember video I've actually done in the past for this ServiceNow platform. I don't know why I'm having issues today. So anyway, they're going to receive an assessment here. So this is a page for the vendor. We'll receive the SEEK questionnaire. Click on the SEEK, complete it. Once they complete the SEEK, they'll receive the SEEK complete and actually and once they send, click on complete. Automatically, you as an assessor will receive it. You're going to receive the assessment and review in your own side of it. So basically, that is it. And I want to, let's stop here for now. And I'm not, yeah, let's stop here for now, please. And stop recording.
The recording has
I'm sorry,
stopped.
this actually pissed me off for not working today. So I probably want to set up one of the days in the week, and we talk about interview prep. I was supposed to do that today, but I'm not anymore. So interview prep during the week, and also talk about how to build a resume. I will guide you on how to be. Probably we're gonna be doing that on Tuesday. I think we did it on Tuesday, so we did it on Tuesday. Any question, please? Any question? Any question?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, my name is Damola Lige. Well,
Okay.
I just want to, not I have a question. I just want to say a little thing that you don't have to be pissed off when it comes to things like this. I use service now. At times it could be very, very, very
Okay.
hard to put. So thank you very much for what you have done so far. And I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yes, sir. My name is Tope.
I can hear you.
Yes, sir. I want to say thank you for this great opportunity. Actually, it's been a blessing, and I know to everyone it's going to be the same. For some of us that have sent out CV and we're getting interview with recruiter and moving to the next stage, what is going to be like advice, like the kind of questions we should be expecting from the recruiter? Because I think some of us this coming week, recruiter might be speaking, hiring manager might be speaking with us. What
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, this I know some people are on the fast lane already. So reach out to me if you have, before you have an interview, reach out to me personally. Send me a message that okay, you have been scheduled or and all that. Then we can talk. I'll call you. I'll set the time for you. So yeah, for others, Tuesday is gonna be where we have interview prep. I'm trying to bring in 2 more people for the interview prep and resume building. So any other question?
Hey, John, this is not a question though.
Okay.
But I want to really thank your wife for giving this platform, this service now. This is what I currently use. Whether interview or whether you're learning, I want you to just understand that if somebody was to ask you what platform you use, you say service now. Okay. And what do you use it for? You see, at first they will try to.
Oh, sorry, hold on, sir. Hold on. I think I have to record. Oh, record.
This meeting is being
Okay, now you
recorded.
can start talking.
So what I'm saying is this is an opportunity what she have built. I really appreciate that. This is just a replica of what I currently use in my company. As you can see, this you can also say that you have experience using the GRC2 called service now, as you can see right there on the screen. What do you use this for? You see this enable you to tier that vendor. As you can see, they were trying to tier the vendor. What does that mean? The inherent risk. They were based on the questionnaire that they were going to send to the business owner. If the business owner would have received that link, he or she would complete those question, and the question would be like, what kind of assets would the vendor have? What solution they're providing? What jurisdiction? All those kind of questions. What impact would this be to the company? All those questions are going to be what the business owner will complete in the form. And once the assessor receive it back here in GRO2, in this tool here, the tool will automatically tier that vendor, whether high, medium, or critical. Okay. Once the assessor get it, oh, this is critical, that will enable the assessor send the specific questionnaire that have been built here. You see, John was trying to send that questionnaire. When he clicked, you see there were a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 questionnaire there. There were a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 questionnaire. Maybe probably there's one for critical, there's one for high, medium, low. What he was doing, once you check that box, you click on it, the vendor will receive it automatically. Because you see, at first, the wife already added the contact of the vendor in that portal. That person that she add, the vendor point of contact will receive that questionnaire and that's attestation report. And once they complete that, you will then receive this information in this service now too. Correct. You will then receive it in this service now too. That's where you do your review from. So just take this opportunity. This is life. This is exactly what I'm doing. That's why I'm able to speak to it. Okay. As you can see, you see what we say security assessment 2018. Next year, the tool will create another one. Then you can go through the same process again. Okay. If you click where you see repeating assessment right there, repeating assessment, somebody once asked a question and said, how do you know when the next assessment is due? The GRO, this tool here, once you create a repeating assessment, you will see once you hit new and create a new one, it will give you option where you see the numbers there where you see 12 and 6 to your right hand side. Where you see 12 and 6, you put 12. On the upper one, you put 10. What you are saying, you are telling these 2 months before 12 months, I want you to generate a new report, a new assessment record. That's what happened. This system will generate that. So now that you have this visibility, when you go to that interview, start using this like what you're actually doing, because this is actually what I'm doing. This tool, I'm actually using this tool is configured like this. It might be a little bit different in some environment, but the process, what you're using it for is the same. Okay, any question? All right, no question. But once again, thank you very much, Nikki.
Sorry, Mr. Joseph.
Question, please.
Sorry, Mr. Joseph.
I said this process. This process of. Hello.
Yes, sir. Mr. Joseph, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
So, sir, from what you've just explained now, it means that the same process I'm going to go through using ServiceNow is the same I'm going to go through if I'm going to use OneTrust, right?
Similar. I
Yes.
also use Jira. It's similar, but how they can configure it a little bit different. But this one was configured exactly like my environment, so I can speak to it. Maybe you see where they say tiering, where John was trying to tier it. Maybe they're not going to use the word tiering. Maybe the configuration will be different, but it's the same process. You see, I'm able to come here and I know I'm able to come here and say repeating assessment. It's because I know this looks like my environment. I don't know if Madam actually worked for my company, because she's an administrator, right? She can do anything. She can configure all of this, but this is how my environment is configured. Maybe in your environment, you see where it say draft, awaiting response, tiering. Maybe you won't have none of that. It would just be tiering. Okay, but it's the same thing you are doing. Use this for the purpose of the interview to speak like this is what you're doing. This is a very good. I want you to really spend time and look at this once you get that recording and just digest it so you can speak to it.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Okay.
If you go to another environment, like I have another environment where they use Jira. You know, people use Jira for like project. Good engineer, like John's wife, if you give them that tool, they can also configure this to be like this. They can configure those systems like this. You as the team manager can tell him, can you please configure our system to do this, to do this, to do that? So the interface will be different, but it's the same process. You are using it to send questionnaire, you are reviewing it, you are tiering the vendors there. Some tool can even generate a report. So just take this and start using this like you have a hands-on. This is actually hands-on training. Thanks, everyone. Once again, thank you very much, Nikki. Appreciate this configuration.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Okay.
Linga Conde is my name.
Hello, Mr. John.
Hello.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, so back to the assessment process. In case the organization I'm working for has the issue department, like issue engagement department. So are they going to be the one to give the exception policy or risk acceptance?
Is the business owner. The business owner will be the one to give you the risk acceptance because they own the risk.
Okay. Thank you.
So this has come. I think this is the second time now. Again, this risk acceptance, risk accession that we're talking, it's just a document. It's just a document like this. There's nothing. It's not like a big. It's just a document like you're seeing on the screen. It will have the business owner name. It will have the risk. There will be a place where they sign. That's what it is. It's not this vendor risk assessment is not a hard hook. It's so easy. It's just a document. Maybe they send it to a VP, VP send it to a VP, they look at it, they just sign. That's what it is.
Okay. I think if you have any further question, you can send me an IM if I'm able to answer it. I don't want to waste people's time here. So thank you so much. I will set up a time just to go through the interview prep. I have some questions and how to build a resume. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. I really appreciate it.
Excuse me, sir.
If you have a question, send me an IM. I think we're done.
Thank you, Mr. John. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. John.